Hello, and welcome to Leadership TrailMix. I am Miguel Oliveira, and for the next few minutes, we'll be together looking at one of the main ingredients that compose this art and science we call people leadership. Our topic today is actually a celebration to something that was one of the reasons why I created this podcast in the first place. If you ever listen to episode number 2 about enoughness, a few times during that episode, I said, you are not your job. You are not your job. So today I have a guest to talk more about that specific topic, which after 2 years, I think I personally need to be reminded of. So I'm talking to Lora Crest today. She's an executive coach, truth teller, and reality checker, and a strategist for high-achieving leaders ready for bold growth. Lora, welcome to Leadership TrailMix.
Thank you, Miguel. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. And I should not have forgotten to mention, and I didn't, I just waited for it so you could hear Lora's voice before I talk about her book. She just released a book called Work is Not Your Life, How to Stop the Balancing Act and Start Living. But before we dive into the book and the concept of work is not your life, Lora, I would love to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how your journey brought here to this book that I have in my hand.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. I've spent more than 25 years helping leaders from global retail to SaaS cut through that noise of the overwork culture and start to lead more integrated lives. Personally, I had to survive that burnout myself and going through a number of situations that we all live through in that hustle culture. I came here to this spot and over the last year spent time putting together the work that I use with my clients. And so really the book is Coaching Made Visible. As an executive coach, I spend time helping people think about how to thrive without burning out, because success shouldn't cost you your health, your relationships, or your sanity. Frankly, the main point of the book is work is not your life. It's a part of your life, and work-life balance is a myth.
Wow. We're going to have to double click on the very last sentence, because in reading the book, I saw that you talk a lot about I would say, debunking the myth of work-life balance. What is the reality then if work-life balance is a myth?
Well, if you think about work-life balance requires two opposing forces to juxtapose together and stay in one spot. Life isn't like that. So work-life balance can't exist. I talk about integration, and there are 5 elements to life: work, relationships, health, growth, and emotional fitness. And all of those pieces require flexibility, adaptability, levels of resilience. I talk about how to bounce forward from the lessons we learn when we spend too much time in one spot than the other. And we all know how life changes so quickly, no matter where you are, whether you're on just starting your career journey, ending your career journey, and going into the next chapter of your life. Work, relationships, health, growth, all of those, emotional fitness, take different amounts of time based on that. And so what I discovered personally was when my grown adult children left home, I never knew I would suffer from such vast grief. And I had to really spend time there. And sometimes work would suffer because of that, or the relationships with others would suffer because of that, or my health suffered. And I had to adjust to be able to focus on the things that mattered most at the time and make the right choices. So there was a point in my last 5 years, I would say, where I just said, I'm done. I'm going to focus on me, because if I could be there for me first, then I could be there for others.
That's so powerful. It's the whole put your oxygen mask before helping others principle, right?
Exactly. And when I share that exact thought with my clients, they kind of pause and think about it for themselves, and that's where they think, I'm successful on paper, but they're in the back of their mind, they're asking themselves, is this all there is?
I love that you're just giving me the perfect segues into the topics that I really want to hear from you about. You just mentioned the word success, which is something that you touch on the book. And I'd be curious to hear from you if you think that the definition of success that we've been as society living by needs to be revamped or revisited, or if there should be a definition at all, or if each of us should just have the ability to define it for ourselves. I'd love to talk a little bit about that because I do believe that's the source of a lot of the evil that comes with confusing ourselves with the work we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think you landed right on it, Miguel. Success should be defined by each individual. Success usually means achievement. Have I racked up all of these trophies or medals or points? But really, it should mean alignment and agency. So alignment to our values and the agency to choose how we spend our time and energy, to do the work or live the life that matters to us. So, I do hear from clients all the time, work is my life. And so I always challenge them to think about, is it really? Like, work is how you pay the bills. Work is how you should demonstrate value in a very interesting way to the people around you. I said, but I would challenge you to step back and think about how your work creates an impact and who that impact is on. And what's that doing for the community, the world at large, and for your own personal growth? And then they start to reframe that thinking to, well, work is just a catalyst for how I show up. And now all of a sudden their definition of success starts to change. Like, one of the questions I ask my clients at the beginning of every year is, how do you want to feel at the end of the next year? And then what happens is they don't ever say, I want to feel busy, overworked, optimized, maximized. They say things like, I want to feel clear. I want to feel whole. I want to feel happy. Nowhere do they ever say successful.
That's fascinating. That's truly fascinating. I have so many thoughts right now, especially because I'll probably have to pay you the money that I would pay my therapist this week, because we've been having conversations about how much I love the work I do and how much I feel like it aligns so well with my purpose in life. And because of that, if you let me, I would just work nonstop. But there is a price to be paid. And I think you mentioned there are a few elements of like, why are you creating a debt for yourself in order to overpay on this side, right?
Yes, exactly. And you know what? You said the word alignment. So that work is aligned with your values. Where we end up diving in a little too deeply is not taking that passion to the other parts of our life. Do you apply that same passion to your health, your emotional fitness, your relationships, or are we giving all that up just to do the work?
Yeah, I hear you. Laura, I would like to double click on something that you mentioned on a LinkedIn post a few weeks ago about pace. And I would love to understand how this work is not your life concept with the concept of pace, especially for people that maybe like me are feeling like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not burning out today. I'm working 16 hours a day and everything is fine. I would love to understand a little bit about how pace plays a role there.
I love that. That's totally true. When I was writing the book, I could work 16 hours a day, but I still made time for the other things that were important in my life. But that was what mattered at the time, was that book. I wanted to get my story out. I wanted to help people see the difference it could make. So that's the integration side of things. So did I work out for an hour and a half every day? No, I probably skipped a few days. I probably didn't, visit all the things I usually revisit on a regular basis. But that was that time. And so I think, because we've been sold the idea that faster is better, most people are running so fast they've forgotten sometimes what they're running towards. So I challenge you, Miguel, to step back and go, okay, 16 hours a day? Do I really need to do that? Am I really doing things that are of value? Or am I really thinking through, if I have a solid rhythm, then all of a sudden I can repeat things and I can get better and I can grow, and the time shortens. So I would challenge you to have a 4-hour work day this week and see what happens.
All right. I'll try that out. And just for context, it's just my Brazilianness makes me a very exaggerated person. I'm not working 16 hours a day, okay, folks? And I'm not preaching that we should.
Right.
I'm definitely working more than my husband think I should work. And I love what you said about the level of energy that you're putting on the other 4 areas of your life. Like, are we living that with the same passion? That's a question that I will always stay with.
I guess if you want to think of like a soundbite, it's you can't sprint your way through a marathon.
That's right. That's a great one.
It's funny. I had a client on just last week and we were talking about, she's in this space where she feels like she has room and she's not running as fast as she always has. And she feels guilty. And so we talked about, okay, so the guilt comes from the fact that we're probably not living up to we think we're not living up to someone else's expectations of us. So what can you do with that time that helps you spend more time in growth or building relationships? Because you can do that with the people at work too. You can expand your network. There's ways to leverage that time in new ways. So all of a sudden we were walking down a path of new ways of thinking what time could be.
Yeah, that's super powerful. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
She's lucky to have you.
I love my clients.
He or she is. Yeah, exactly. That's great. So I would love for us to dive a little deeper into the BOLD framework, something that you mentioned online, and that I think will help our people a lot. I took the assessment this week, really enjoyed it, and would love to give people some visibility into what BOLD is all about.
Sure. So the BOLD assessment is really to help you understand if you're ready to make some changes. And I have clients on all ranges of the spectrum, from I'm ready to dive in and be brave and make some changes that create sustainable growth for myself, all the way to the other side of the spectrum where I have clients who are very skeptical and want to see the data and proof. So depending on how we're operating and where they're getting stuck, then we spend time disrupting those little pieces along the way. Help them think through how fast can they go? What is the smallest step that they want to change? So they can start build evidence of the fact that they can actually do things differently. Like bold doesn't mean reckless to me. Bold means you're brave enough to do something different. And so I think about that a lot when I deal with my clients, because usually they're coming to me with some level of perfection or some level of imposter syndrome or some level of I just can't, or the other one is the doom scrolling shoulds. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. So I help them really think about who they are and what they're ready for today. And over time, we continue to grow boldly or bravely in the direction they want to go.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'd be curious, as we approach the end of this conversation, as you know, we always leave those listening to us with a call to action on something that we can start doing today to be better people leaders. We can start doing today to be better people leaders for those we have the honor to serve. What would be the call to action today, Lora?
I think you called it right there. It's about, we've been called to serve. And it's remembering that it's the work that you do. It's not who you are. So it's helping your team also think about that as well. So how do you help them understand that work is not their life? How do you find moments of pause with them where you can align on what your team values are, and then think about one thing you can change together that will be bold?
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lora. I'll try it this week.
Thank you. Will. I hope you do. I can't wait to hear what your results are.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I learned a lot. I can't wait to finish reading the book, and I can't wait for people to have the book in their hands too. You can find Lora's book on Amazon, Apple Books, and Kobo. So run out there, get your copy, and drink more from the wisdom that she shared with us today. With that, we'll wrap this episode. Thank you for listening. Take care and talk soon.